Hi, my name is Georgi Dimitrievich and I am a senior at St. Anne's High School in Tecumseh, Ontario. I'm here today to talk to you about why I believe it is a good idea for you to play sports in high school. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm currently a fifth-year student, or as some may say, I decided to take a victory lap. I've been involved in sports for almost as long as I can remember. My dad has told me stories of when he had me doing sit-ups on the bed since I was 6 months old. I played basketball, volleyball, and soccer, all competitively with a travel team and for high school. In grade 8, I was named Student Athlete of the Year, and last year I was named Senior Male Athlete in high school. So believe me that when I talk sports, I know what I'm talking about. Now, you may or may not be involved in sports at the moment, but I still believe that this is a very important topic for you to listen to. Many people believe that high school sports are a waste of time. Many people believe that the only important education is the education of the mind. Well, I do agree with you that the education of the mind is important, but I also believe that the education of the body is just as important when it comes to building a successful future. And did you know that according to School Sport Canada, which is the national body for school sports in Canada, there are over 750,000 athletes and over 52,000 volunteer teacher coaches. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a lot of people who care about high school sports to me. Now, let me tell you some positives that come with sports. A lot of people believe that the only real positive that comes from playing sports is that it keeps your body healthy. Now, I do agree that it does keep your body healthy, but that is not the only positive that comes from playing sports. For example, through sports, you adapt better social skills. What's a better way to meet new people and make new friends than through sports? I will never forget my grade 9 year showing up to basketball tryouts, scared and confused. It wasn't until I opened the door and saw 10 other equally scared and confused faces that I became comfortable. After a few practices, I made new friends and now have friends for the rest of my life, like Anthony, Greg, or Dennis, just to name a few. Another positive that comes from playing sports is that you learn how to work as a team. You learn that you can't win all by yourself. I remember my grade 12 year playing in my SWASA, Southwestern Ontario soccer finals, when I scored 2 goals, including the game-winning goal. After the game, my coach came up to me and gave me a big hug and said, "George, thank you. This is my first time going to OFSA." After he said this to me, I instantly became much happier because of my win. This was because I learned how much it meant to him. Another positive that comes from playing sports is that you learn commitment. You learn that the only way for you to get better and to succeed is to go out and do your job even when you don't feel like it. And lastly, but certainly not least, you learn how to win and how to lose. Because we all know that in life, there will be times when we are winning and when we are losing. You learn how to win with dignity and respect for your losing opponent. And you learn that losing is the only way for you to get better. Now, those are just some of the positives that come from playing sports. And I know what you're thinking. It can't all be positive. And you're right. There are some negatives that come with playing sports as well. Take these into consideration. When playing sports, your marks are often going to drop. It's not for sure, but there is a possibility. It's hard to come home and open up a book when you have no energy. You're mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted from a practice, game, or a tournament. This happened to me. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but you get the idea. Another negative that comes from playing sports is that you have no time for a social life. It's hard to find time to go out and hang out with friends and go to parties when you're constantly at practices, games, or you're away on weekends for tournaments. You don't know how many good parties I've missed and had to only hear stories about it days after. Now, another negative that may happen while playing sports are injuries. Injuries will always play a factor in sports. I'm sure you've heard about so many professional athletes whose careers have been cut short due to injuries. When you're fully committing yourself to sports, injuries will always be a risk. And lastly, and arguably the worst thing that could happen to you while playing sports is that you take performance-enhancing drugs. To us athletes, performance-enhancing drugs are considered a cheater's way to win. You may feel good after a victory for a day or two, but in the long run, you're really going to regret what you did. Just look at Lance Armstrong or Ben Johnson. And those were just some of the negatives. Now, after all the pros and cons, the pluses and minuses, the positives and negatives, let me tell you what I firmly believe about playing sports in high school. For all you boys and girls who are thinking about playing sports, stop thinking about it and just go out and do it. You will not regret it. The pros by far outweigh the cons and the risks that come from sports. Sports will make you healthier. Sports will make you happier. Sports will make you a better person and will ultimately change your life forever. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and go play sports.